I'm telling you here and now, I think our season ends in 2 weeks. I genuinely believe that. What we saw today was just so poor, man. And it's so disheartening. You watch this team and you saw the heights that this squad reached. And it's like we're nowhere near. And I think there's this idea between, not only PSG fans, but even for casuals, right? People who don't watch PSG outside of the Champions League. There's this idea that PSG aren't quite like last year, but they can always turn it on. Right? They like, oh, we can just turn it on for the big games. We can, we'll pump up for those. We'll be pumped up. It's UCL, bright lights, etc. That's gone, man. And last year's team can't play for you, man. You feel me? Like football is played on the day, and the days in which we've been playing football have been horrendous. Horrendous performances. We've been bailed out against Monaco time and time again with red cards. This time, no red card from Monaco. And 3-1, convincing win, man. Convincing win. That's not to say PSG didn't deserve more goals in the game, but it's. Here's the issue. We get into the box and it's like we just don't do anything. We poke and we prod, but we never, you know, actually break the pinata. You know what I mean? That's the issue with this team. We're just poking, we're beating around the bush. That's what it feels like. And then until we're down by 2 goals, then you start to see some real urgency, some smarter decisions. It's ridiculous, man. I don't know. I don't know how you fix this. I think it's over. I really think it's over. You know, the the bright side to this is that with the UCL this year being, during the World Cup year, no one's gonna really care about who wins the UCL. Like, I'm trying to think of the last World Cup. Who won the UCL? Madrid? I mean, actually, that was a pretty good run. But, like, no one's really going to care, right? But let's think about the last summer. The last summer, UCL, Madrid won that one too. The point being, actually, big summer tournament. So I think a lot of, that's something that's in a lot of players' heads. And I think maybe you can take solace in that if, your club is having a bad season. At least you can support your country at the World Cup, hope for a deep run. But my goodness, man, that's just copium. It's copium because what this team just I can only laugh in pity and like disappointment. It's just time and time again this season disappointing, and I don't know how we fix it. I really don't. And it, before I even get into the game, it makes you think you had the best season of all time, at very least the third best season of all time, right? Statistically, just with all the trophies you won, right? Why would you not retool your squad, especially having one of the best seasons of all time in the most fixture congested, you know, era ever, right? Players are playing more games than ever before. You need a deeper squad more than ever before. This is 5 substitutions, right? Like you need more players. And to only go out and get Chevalier, and to only go out and get Zabarni, I think we got, Dro in the winter transfer window, but in the summer in particular, you only got 2 transfers, right? I'm not gonna count Renata Marin, third goalkeeper. But like that's not enough. That was never enough. And you know, the entire time Enrique was saying, it's so hard to add to this team. It's hard to improve this team. And I hear it, right? You want to make sure guys have room to breathe and play their roles. Bring in more people into the mix. It's tough to incorporate them, especially up front, right? But more than ever now, it's like, man, we should have brought in a midfielder. I was I was so much, hoping for a midfielder, and Dro's good, but I wanted like a real starting caliber midfielder, like a Manu Kone or someone of that ilk. Even I think Angela Stiller was linked with us. Obviously, Akliush, who scored on us today, but like a midfielder, right? And Cherokee was there too, but we had issues with Leon. But the fact that we didn't get anybody, I'm literally I'm shaking the camera because I'm just so upset. But the fact is we didn't get anybody. Now it's biting us in the back, in the butt, bad. Like it's biting us in the butt. I'm trying to keep it PG, but really where it's biting us, right? And I just feel that all of this stuff that all the mistakes of last summer, and I don't even say mistakes, just the events, right? The mistake was not getting more people in the transfer window. The events of reaching the Club World Cup final, having to play the Super Cup, not having a full preseason, a full off season, like all of that is catching up to us now. We can't counter press the same way. We just don't have the legs for it. Guys are tired. Vitinha has been used up like a sponge. He's not the same Vitinha because he's just so tired. He has to think about when to sprint, like because he knows if he sprints too much in the first half, he's gonna be dead for the rest of the game. Like that kind of stuff is just not sustainable. You can't have it in today's game. You need fresh players. And what's so funny is as I'm saying this stuff, there's a quote in Luis Enrique's first season at PSG, right? When Mbappe was still here, Colomwani, etc. He says, I want two players per position. I want two whole teams that are fighting tooth and nail for each other so that you never know who's going to start any day because guys just want it that bad. It is 2026 now. Damn near 3 years. We do not have that at all. The starters are super comfortable in their role. You look at our bench, right? Especially today, right? You look at the midfield where we had Dro and Zaire Emery. Great young talents, but they're clearly bench quality. Joao Neves and Fabian Ruiz have nothing to worry about when they come back because these guys are not at that level. And it's unfortunate for me to say, man, Warren, that first goal is just pure, stupidity, right? You can get rid of the ball. Why are you taking 8, 9, 10 touches inside of your own box? Everyone's watching him like, what is he doing? And Warren's a great player. Obviously, he's had an immense season, immense bounce back season after last year, right? But like, Fabian Ruiz doesn't do that. You feel me? Joao Neves doesn't do that. And I'm just so upset. Sorry. And you just think to how did this all happen? And you just got to point back to the summer. You just got to point back to the summer. I had a lapse in concentration there. Forgive me, guys. All right, let's get into this game, man. Oh my god, man. I mean, what did I expect? Look at this. We had all the momentum. We obviously had more, shots than our opponent. We started shooting out on sight after we went down 2-0. Barcola gets one, and then Balogun gets a deflected goal to make it 3-1, and from there I knew it was over, man. It's just over. I thought when Vanderson went down early on Monaco, I thought, okay, yeah, we got a little bit of a chance, but still, we got around the box and never did anything with it. Like this whole first, well, they came out hot actually, but from the 7th minute, I guess, to the 25th minute before Akliush scored, we had opportunities and we just didn't do anything with it, man. Due had a nice, like cross. It was a cross, but it was low, right? And nobody could finish it. It just keeps on happening, man. And there's just no know-how. We need a goal scorer, a chance converter, premium. I'm thinking of, what it makes me think of? Just a little bit of how City was before Holland, right? Lots of, wingers tech everywhere, right? But no one who could convert the chances all the time. Guaranteed. Then they brought in Holland and they won the treble. We need a Holland. And there's not like a Holland around, right? Maybe you have Osimhen, but it's not quite the same with Osimhen, right? And I don't really know who else you can bring in. And also, it's like Luis Enrique would have to be willing to change his style for a player who's not as, I don't want to say techie, but not someone who's going to drop down and, play midfielder a little bit and false nine. He's gonna have to let go of the false nine, right? And maybe he's willing to do that, but where are you going to get a bona fide Holland type of striker? Where? I don't know where you get them. They don't really exist, right? So it's just so frustrating. And even if you get him, like that shit's in the summer. Like you can't get him right now. So like right now today, what can you do to improve this team? And I just don't know. You can get guys healthy, yeah, you can point to all of that, but at the end of the day, you have to be prepared. And we weren't prepared. I remember 2 seasons ago, Nuno Mendes was out basically almost the whole season. We brought in Lucas Hernandez, and he did a fine job at left back, right? And eventually he played even left center back. And like I remember that season, we had injuries, but I was thinking, man, our bench is deep. Our bench is deep, and we obviously had a massive transfer window, right? We didn't have guys like Due and Neves, but Lee, Asensio, these guys were like ready to step in the roles that they were in, and it was fine. Like it was like, okay, yeah, we can do that. We can rock with that. And it wasn't a perfect fit, but like to have the athletic ability and just to have a full deep squad at that time, right? We even had Soler, I think. I think we actually put him on loan eventually for that year, but we had guys. Like we had guys, and now I look at our squad and it's like, man, where'd all these guys go? We don't have anybody, and it's just rough. I don't like to see it, man. We had to prepare better. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. And I don't want to sulk too much longer. I don't know if that makes for great content, but terrible game. You can get into ratings and stuff. I don't care what this says. I'd almost give everybody like a 6 and a 5. Just everyone was bang average today, and Monaco was very good. Really, that's what it was. And it was nice to see Mayulu and Dembele come back, but it was not enough. Surely not enough. Hopefully, looking at Chelsea, and I'll go to Chelsea a little bit later, but hopefully they're nice and fit for Chelsea, which is good. But now you're looking at the league table. Now you have Lens versus Mets last side, like the last place side in the league, the worst team in the league. They will win that. I'm sure of it, right? Then Lens just came off of a huge penalty shootout win over Lyon in the Coupe de France, so they're on fire right now. And they're gonna get to 1 point, and I genuinely believe we could lose the league. I think we might. I think it might be a we will lose the league. It'll depend how far we get in the UCL. If we get past Chelsea, I'm almost sure we will lose the league because we just don't have enough depth. The guys are not gonna have the same juice to run in the league as they will in the Champions League. It's just as simple as that, really. It really is. I think it's just Super Cup this year. I really do. I really do. I think we're going to lose the league, and I think we're not going to win the Champions League. And it sucks for me to say, but maybe that's the sacrifice, right? That's the sacrifice for having a sextuple season, winning 7 trophies in 13 months or whatever. That's a sacrifice. But it could have been prevented. It really could have. We had the most we had the most money made from the UCL last season, right? We obviously have a big budget. Like, come on. We are state owned. We have a big budget. What is the point in being so frugal? Like, I understand you want to, you don't want to let yourself go and start buying anybody, but like we were haggling. I remember we were haggling for Zabarni, right? I think Bournemouth wanted 75 or 72, and we ended up getting it down to like below 70. But like, are we, you know, what are we doing, man? We needed more than that, man. Hopefully this is a lesson learned for Luis Campos and Luis Enrique. You gotta have a full squad. You cannot win with a starting lineup, with just a starting lineup, right? Luis Enrique keeps saying, "Oh, I've never played with my full healthy 11," and that is a valid complaint, kind of. But the Champions League, the league's trophies are not won with an 11; they're won with a 22. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just you need a full squad, and if you don't have it, then what else can you hope for? Genuinely. Oh, anywho, that's enough PSG. I'm obviously pissed. In other news, Liverpool got a nice win over Wolves in the FA Cup. They move on to the next round. Nice to see Salah get some. I obviously didn't watch this, but I just want to check the FA Cup brackets. I believe City and Newcastle tomorrow. Play tomorrow. I'm not sure. This knockout thing's kind of small. Oh, there's more. Okay, here we go. I believe this is the round of 16 technically then, because there's four on each side. Yeah, I want to say yeah. So that draw's gonna be interesting. But they move on to the next round. It'll be interesting if they draw a City or an Arsenal. I think that would be funny. That'd be cool. Well, that would assume Arsenal and City win their FA Cup games. Obviously, Chelsea's in there too. Well, Arsenal should win. I would put money on Arsenal. But yeah, great for Liverpool. I'm not even gonna pretend to talk about that game. I just think it's a good result for them after a bit of a tough run. Nice to get them, and they lost to Wolves, right? So nice for them to kind of veer the ship a little bit ahead of the UCL. And they play on the Friday. You feel me? I think they play their UCL game on Tuesday. So before you go into Galatasaray, so actually it's still the same amount of rest, but good for them. Good for them. And on the other hand, Real Madrid. And before we get to Real Madrid, Napoli getting a good win versus Torino. Put some third in the table kind of more comfortably, although Roma's got a winnable game versus Genoa coming up next. That'll put them 2 points behind Napoli. But yeah, Napoli pretty much securing that, UCL qualification for next season. And Bayern Munich, the team I'm just so jealous of, man. I think they remind me a lot of PSG last year in the terms of how, easily they attack and they press and defend. And, it's more complete than, Barcelona's, high octane offense where it's almost purely attack and press and high line, high line. Bayern's got a little bit more completeness, more robustness to them. I'm extremely jealous to see this team so successful, man. They're going to be tough to beat in the UCL. I think they're my pick to win. I really do. Arsenal's going to be a tough matchup for them if they meet Arsenal on the other side. But outside of Arsenal, I don't think any other team can beat this team genuinely. Genuinely. UCL champs, in my opinion. Not even a question. Oh, okay, it's a question, but UCL finalist, not even a question. And on the other hand, Real Madrid getting a last minute deflected winner off of Valverde. Um, for Madrid, that loss to Getafe, very bad, and really the situation around Madrid, pitiful, right? Mbappe's knee is apparently hanging on a thread, according to some publications in Spain, and in other publications, his knee is hurt but workable. He can come back for City, whatever the case may be. Not great. Obviously, Rodrigo ACL injury. Jude Bellingham's out too for City. Alaba's out, but I saw they got Ferland Mendy back, which is hilarious. He comes back right for City, right before City. I'm sure Mendy's again starting to come up in form. I think it's 2 goals in his last 3 games or so. So it's nice for him, but I hate to say this. This doesn't move me. This doesn't move me. It's nice they could band around and beat Celta Vigo, but a proper elite Madrid team would beat Celta Vigo anyway. You know what I mean? That's not to say Celta Vigo is a awful side. Celta Vigo is a solid side, right? They've done really well in the Europa League. And I think they're sixth in La Liga, so like they're a solid side, but doesn't move me. Madrid is still getting wiped by the City team. I firmly believe it. But it's a good for Madrid to just keep up in La Liga a little bit, put a little bit of pressure against Barcelona, especially. Barcelona's still vulnerable, as good as they've been in the league. They're still vulnerable to that high line and counterattacks and prone to mistakes. So you never know. They got Bilbao next. They got to go to Bilbao for that one. So that'll be if Bilbao can get something now. Bilbao hasn't been great this year, but if Bilbao can get something and help Madrid out, that'll be huge. Still good for Madrid to, kind of keep up pace just a little bit, not fall too far behind. You're looking at their next games and you're thinking they should win them, but like after this Getafe loss, I don't know, right? Elche, yeah, Atleti's going to be a tough game. I don't know about winning that one. But Mallorca, Girona, Deportivo, should win, but anything can happen. Obviously, I think Girona beat Barcelona, so we'll see. As I adjust my chair here, I know it sounds like a lot of squeaking. My apologies, but yeah, good for Madrid. And yeah, that's basically the Friday recap. Let's talk one more real quick about PSG because I know I was gonna talk about this Chelsea game, man, and you got 5 days to prepare. Chelsea got to play tomorrow, and then they got to travel to Paris. Not that it's a long trip, London to Paris ain't nothing anymore, but still got to travel there. Hey, man, rest up, recoup, and figure out how you can draw a deeper reserve of energy out of this team, please, please. I beg of you, Luis Enrique. But I just don't see it happening, man. This is a UCL heritage, you know. I think Chelsea, if you're looking at PSG, I'm positive some Chelsea players were watching this game between Monaco and PSG today and were licking their lips like, "Oh yeah. If Monaco can get 3, we can get 5." And I genuinely believe so. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we can find something to turn this around, but I'm not confident, man. I'm not confident. PSG, believe me, we are on our last legs here. It is go big or go home, and I think we're going home, lads. I really do. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy Ollie Footy. Until next time, we out.